Hello, welcome to YouTube Mondays. My new thing is to be doing a live on YouTube every Monday. So I'm just getting it up on my laptop so I can see your comments. Get the volume off so I'm not repeating myself. Today we are going to be doing some pencil drawing. We're going to be right back to basics. Lots of you asked me, I did some drawing for one of my pieces, kind of had I done anything beforehand to practice. So I thought we'd do a little bit of that today. So obviously I have my set of pencils. For those of you that don't know, the B ones, the B pencils are the ones to go to for drawing and sketching. And I'm going to start, it's quite good, a good exercise to learn about gradients between light and dark, just using lead pencils to start with before you move on to colour, because that helps you understand the transitions. Colours sort of get more complicated. So I'm going to adjust the camera and get it down to where my work is so that we can crack on. Feel free to say hello and ask any questions. I have got my laptop open so I can see you as you join. Just going to wait for it to catch up a little bit. There we go. So my book's getting a bit bulky, so I've propped it up there, but you can see quite clearly the face that I'm going to be drawing. I've sort of just sketched it out roughly. Now, as I say, I'm using an HB and I'm quite lightly at this point just giving myself a rough oval shape. So this is my face. Now when we get our marking places, when we get our grafting, we want to do, I'm going to do it quite lightly across, so that's right down the middle, and then right down the middle from the top of my oval. Okay, that's going to be my eye line. Halfway between that line and my chin line, and halfway between that line and my chin line goes near my mouth and my nose. Okay, this is flawless. Hi Fiona. This, if you do use these guidelines, your face will not go out of proportion. So I'm going to do a slightly whimsical face today. So I'm going to divide this top line into 3 equal ovals. And then there's my little nose. And my mouth is 2 dots, 2 circles, and then a bigger oval underneath. Can you see that? So I'm still using my HB at this moment in time. So I'm doing myself a rough eye. So this is my little, this is the little, I don't know what you call it, the thingamajig bit. Got quite a clear diagonal line there. And up and over shape. See that? Now here, I'm going to make a slight indent. And that gives her a slightly older face. Doesn't look so childlike. So as we get older, we get an indent there. So I can use my rubber. I've just got one of those lovely erasers that you can. So that's given me the indents. Hi La Vintage Decor. Hi Shaz. So I've I've done my middle, there's a middle oval there which is the same size as those, but that was just to give me the spacing, so I don't need that now, and I don't need the middle line there, so I can rub that out, but that's really going to help me a lot. Here's my nose, so I'm literally going to go round okay, and we'll have our little line there. Then the mouth, I've got two circles next to each other, so I'm going to do a little U, and underneath it I'm going to do another little U, and then my mouth, I'm going to go to there, I'm going to join that up, and at the bottom of my oval. So there's my vaguely in place face to start with, and my neck with whimsical faces. Our necks are, we actually draw our necks much thinner than they actually are, because if you were to look proportionately, the neck should come from about here and here, which is quite massively different. And equally the eyes are different in whimsical drawing, so we are doing a whimsical today. So now I'm going to just draw the circles for her eyes. Now that should go literally over the top, so we shouldn't be seeing all of her eyes. So in order to make myself not try and cram it in, I'm drawing it over the top like so. Okay, now I can rub off the top. Okay, so now I'm going to give her some nice big eyelids. And then her eyebrows over the top of that. So this is all in pencil. And at the moment we're using HB because we are just getting a feel for her face. So we don't want the lines to be too hard. But now I've got the sketch in place, I'm gonna move up to a 4B so that I can put a little bit more pressure. Get your pencils nice and sharp. I had a lovely session before I came on live today, sharpening. Nothing feels better. It's like getting into a crisp clean bed, I think. So I'm making sure that the highlight that I use in the eyes is the same place, both eyes, and that the line around the outside of the eye is slightly darker, and I achieve that by pressing harder with the pencil. Okay. Now if I had just sort of gone over that white by mistake, I could obviously go in with a Posca paint pen afterwards to pull the highlight back out, or dip an eraser into it. So here's her lovely eyes starting. So I want the eyes to help us give the 3D effect. I'm going to do a little bit of shading either side with a highlight on the top. See that? And then I'm going to start with some of the natural shading, which will be around the side of the face. And I'm just using sort of the side of the pencil. And I'm not being too careful about the marks that I'm making because we're going to blend them out. Just putting them in place. Under her lip, a dark mark, and her face. Okay, now she's already starting to look like a face, I hope. So the shade, the shadow, is what is going to teach us about the shape of the nose. It's all going to be shadow and the bone. So we could make that shadow different shapes depending on the shape that we want her nose to be. I'm going to leave a clear circle on the top of her nose, because the highlight, there is always a highlight on there. Okay, and some of that bit on her nose has gone a bit dark, so I just pull it back a bit. Okay. There's her nose. So we'll go over a little bit more detail in her mouth. Now this is where I bring in my recommended tool, and they're so cheap and they're what makes this work, and that's these 3 blending sticks. I bought these 3 together. They come in different sizes. It doesn't really matter which one you use. The dirtier the better, so don't sort of think once they've got dirty you've got to get rid of them. Now this is where using a soft pencil comes into play, because the softer the pencil, the blender, more easy to blend it is. And what you want is the transitions between shadow and light to look natural, not look like a hard line. And that's where this tool is sort of made of paper, sort of condensed paper mache or something. They're just brilliant. They're only about £2 or £3. You can use them for ages. And can you see it's all just, and I'm initially just going over what I've done, but I'm then going to start pulling it over her face. Okay. This is the bit about the highlight. Like I said, I don't want to get all dirty in between, either there or there, because that is going to be my highlight that's showing that her eye is round. I can even use it just in there. So now I'll just start pulling it in. Getting that full of tips. So far, I have found that the dirtier the better. But actually it goes great just to get stuck straight back in there. I haven't needed to peel it off, but maybe. I guess if you're wanting to do real detailed work. So for me, I probably save like my little one, the little point for the more detailed. I hope you can see that. So even with a 4B pencil, it's really quite dark already. I'm going to just add a bit to her neck. Okay. always use your rubber to tidy things up. I'm going back to my HB for a minute. So I'm going to try and get some hair into place. So here's my original oval here. And I've decided that the parting is going to be here. So the hair has come from inside the oval to here. She's got a fringe going on. But it's also got to go up and over the outside of the original oval, because we've got a lot more volume than you would give credit for, and that's what makes sense. So I'm going to draw. What's really helpful as a tip is to always colour using your pencils in the direction that the hair would go. Same with the face, so you wouldn't just colour like that, you would give it the curve. So I'm going to give her some loose fringe bits coming out here. But I'm also going to make sure that that hair goes from that parting. See, so there is a distinct, you can tell where the parting is. To her, she's going to have a funky ponytail thing going on here. So what I've done is some rather fun, different size circles. Well, she is whimsical, so it doesn't have to be accurate. So this is her kind of ponytail going on out here. So I can go back in with my darker pencil. Now I've got a clearer shape. Now as for these circles, you can have some highlight in them. So I don't need to colour them all solidly, but you will notice that I am colouring them softly. But I'm presuming that the light is coming straight on as it is on her face, so the circle is light in the middle. So if you go to look at any magazine, for example, when you look at faces, if you use the graph that I've just used to divide up your face, a very common mistake is to start measuring from the top of the hair that you can see. But of course, in this drawing, the actual oval is here. This is the up and over of the hair, which is the volume over the top of our head. It should, all hair, when we're drawing, should go over the top, but also under as well. So even if she didn't have a fringe, we would start from here to draw her hair back. And that's how we get our eyes in the right position, because it's halfway between there and there. Oh, isn't that fun? Let's do her a little flippy bit of hair at the end. And I'm going to go back in with my stump and see what I can do, see if I can tidy that up, blend it up a bit. So I'm using this stump almost as a pretend pencil, again drawing in the direction that I want the hair to go. One of the first lessons when you learn at school, if you remember, I know when I worked in infant school, with young ones, drive you crazy. You want to jump in and grab the pencil out of their hands because they're just scribbling like that to colour it in. I remember being very proud as a child learning that lesson of carefully colouring in everything in the right direction, or the same direction if you're filling in a solid shape. It works better. There she is. I might even give her some extra bangs there, I think. So this is incredible when you think this is all just drawn with 2 pencils and a stump. So I charge you can be quiet. It is nice watching other people draw, isn't it? I lose hours of an evening learning and teaching myself. I did study art, but I don't think you can ever learn everything. I think learning is a process, and things that you wanted to draw when you were younger aren't necessarily things you want to draw now. You want to learn a different way of doing it, and I think that's cool. Don't she look fun? Right, at the moment she's looking a little bit, so the way we make her mouth, I don't know what the word is, that's why I stopped. So if we make it dark just on the turn up of her mouth, can you see what difference? Just that tiny little line has made her look like she's happy. Now that's the bottom of her lip, top lip. And again, any shading is going to go in the direction of that, how even though that is really tiny mouth, I want the curve to show. There should be a natural shadow over the top of the eye, and that's the shadow that your eyelashes make. Or we haven't drawn our eyelashes in yet, but that lid is hanging over the eye, so there is a natural shadow here, and as soon as you put that in, you are helping to make your eyes look more realistic. Now I don't like the top of that nose looking like as hard as that, and I put that in to remind myself that there is a shadow there, but I'm going to take it back out. I'm going to recreate it through the shadows around the outside rather than with a line. You see that? So these little nosy bits, parentheses, there, you can colour those in, but this bit here is more often than not got a highlight showing on it. So I'll go with my itty diddy stump just to, I don't want a V, I want it to just naturally disappear to nothing. See how much better that is without that line. Should be a shadow under her nose, because obviously the nose sticks out and creates a shadow, and that dip that we all have there. But we can go back in now with our little itty diddy and just blend away some of those harsh shading. Hi Alison, you snuck in there. So I'm not pressing very hard with the blender here. I'm just using it to skid across the surface really, so that I don't want all this white, because these areas are not going to be pure white. We save the white for the highlights. On top of the nose, get on her cheeks, even her eyes, not quite as white. And we've got a highlight here. Top lip is usually darker than the bottom lip. Now I haven't got a reference picture today. Sometimes I have a reference picture where I don't necessarily try to copy or do a portrait, although, you know, that's fun too, and we will look at that. But sometimes I do it just to get the proportion and the shadow and the light to help me, especially if I've got lighting in a less obvious place than full on straight on. Right, and I'm going to do something. Just take this, do one more level with you guys. Which is, it looks like a pencil. It works like a pencil. It's almost a pencil, but it's not actually a pencil. It's a Stabilo black. It says on it paper, glass, plastic and metal. Now I haven't tried it on the others, but what I'm doing is adding, and it just looks at the moment like I've got a slightly darker or softer pencil. But the difference between these and pencils is they are soluble. They activate. So still using shading from light to dark. And this is like when you are, if you use a reference picture, let me find one. Here we are. You see that? For example, you would be drawing and going around your whole face thinking, is that dark as that dark? Is that dark as that dark? So you would be comparing all the way through the different shades, and it's harder when it's in colour. And if you've got this in colour, I would recommend putting it under the photocopier and getting yourself a black and white version of it, because then it's easier to find. If you see the line around her eyes, the little bits in her nose are probably just there and there, the darkest points of her face, and then even there isn't as dark, so you're constantly comparing, is it as dark as? But as before, she's gone up and over her hairline, so this is the oval, and this is her chin. She's got slightly tilted chin going on there, but this nose is halfway, her eyes should be halfway, sorry, and it's because her chin is slightly tilted here. So her eyes are still halfway between, and then her nose should be, if you were doing it straight on, halfway between there and there. Again, she's got a tilt going on. So this is how we adjust our lines if we want her face to go up. So I'm just using this Stabilo. I've got this from Amazon. I've got a pack of 12 of them. I am in love. Now obviously at this point I could have achieved this look with a darker pencil. But I'm going to just show you what happens when I activate it. So this is her ponytail. I haven't done the extra bits I was going to do of her fringe. Okay. So I'm going to do an outline of her face with it. Remember we did these slight dips, that's to help her look older. And I'm going to put her eyelashes in. Remember when you get to the top that the eyelash should then start going out the other way. Okay. Suddenly, she looks like the whimsical glamour girl that we were after. A little bit of the dark colour. Now you could use a black ink pen to do this too, a Posca pen. But that last layer of black, yeah, this is my art journal, so I've got lots of pages going on in here, and I do lives on my Facebook page every Thursday to show you how I create this. So this is, I'm getting near the end of this book, but I have very recently started, and this is a live I did on YouTube at the weekend, my woodland elf. And I've really just started this book, started prepping it. I've made a little cubby hole here. So if you want to see that progress, I'm using it to prop up the book because it's got quite wide. If you want to see that progress and how I do that, you can go back to previous videos on the YouTube channel and or tune in. I'm going to be doing a live on here every Monday, 2 till 3. And I'm going to be on my Facebook page, that's Very Chic Emporium, every Thursday 1 till 2. I've been doing it on my Facebook page for years now, but I thought I would start doing it on YouTube too. Oh, doesn't she look good? Right, so the last bit is to activate some of this Stabilo. No, I don't want to go crazy with it because, well, just because. Now, I could use water or matte finish, but I'm going to use gesso. It's anything liquid will activate it. So I might not do all of the face because I quite like the face as it is, but let's see. Can you see, as soon as it touches, it turns it into a gorgeous sort of inky paint. Really like that. So again, you have to use the brush in the direction and it just brings her to life, her hair. Now you can get different colour stabilos. I've only got black, but I love it. Might not go off the page. I might actually end up putting some more black in there to show more individual strands. Generally speaking, less is more. I just wanted to get her hair the gesso, I think, just gives it a little bit of a grey quality because it obviously is white. So if you used Mod Podge or matte finish, you might not get so much tone. I'm going to use some of that deliberately to give more shadow on her forehead. You can kind of go back in and use it like a dipping painting pot. I don't want to smudge too much of what I've done as drawing. This is kind of what I would call painting with gesso. One of its many. It just funks up the ink look. So if you weren't here at the beginning, just pop back to the beginning and see the proportioning, how I measured it out, because it's foolproof. And if you do it like that every time, you'll get your proportions in the right place. She's looking like a hot girl. So I might not activate all of the hair now. I just do some more drawing over the top. Give me the lines. I think you're either someone that is someone that does outlines or not. I definitely am an outliner. Everything I do, I'm drawn to this outline. I'm just going to make her eyelashes, eyebrows even. A bit more intense. Yeah, I'm really quite digging her. She's a hot girl. And when you do things like this, you could decide to just do red lips, just to make her lips stand out. I don't think that looks quite right with the hair just finishing dead on the crease. Looks a bit too convenient. And then there's probably going to be loose hairs, and we can go back here to give the impression of our hair again. And we always come back to this parting as if we're brushing our hair really. Now, quite liking it. Who will she have? Some straggly bits of hair. I always do. I never get hair that completely neatly goes in. How about you? So we'll do that. I've missed her ears. That's what's missing. Fishing. And she could have big earrings. Oh yeah. And I'm going to go over that with the gesso just to pop out the earring a bit more. You can see it instantly. Look at the difference between the two. Pops it out straight away. Love it. So back in with the pencils. I'm varying between the Stabilo and a normal pencil. And again, I don't think this kind of hairdo is going to be perfect. There's going to be bits of hair and hair fluffies that doesn't fit. It's come loose. She's been out partying all night, guys. She's been out in the town and her makeup's still flawless, but her hair's lost the will. Isn't that fun, imagining where she might have been, what she's been up to, the secrets she might be able to tell you. You keep your tongue shut, girl. So again, I'm going to just do some loose strands. One of my favourite finishing tools is my white Posca pen. And I want that bit. I know we've done quite well at keeping that white, but if you'd smudged it by mistake, the Posca pen will save your bacon. So, again, doing it in the direction. Can you see, guys? I don't want a solid lump. That would look wrong. And she's going to have a little bit of highlight there and there. We've got that nose that we deliberately kept, and a little bit in her mouth that we've done quite well at keeping as well. So this is, you don't need a Posca pen if you haven't got one, but it is good for just saving those little areas. And I do like to soften up the hair. We've got quite a lot of black going on there. This gives it a softer feel. So I feel a little bit like I lied to you because I said we were just doing drawing, and we are, and we could have stopped at drawing. I've just added a couple of extra tools in. The Stabilo pencil and my Posca paint. And just like you would if you did a heart or writing with a highlighting, you might put just a few highlights like that. into her ponytail. Let's get some white in there as well. She looks pretty cool. Now in terms of the background, what I'm going to do is go around the edge with this lovely Posca. Just like so. Not Posca, Stabilo. Doing a thicker scribbly line this time. Okay, I'm going to go down the edges as well. And down this one. And this is how kind of exact you have to be. So I've done that quite heavy, quite scribbly. I have a bit of a black corner there going on, and I might have a bit more black going on here, or like that should be. Does it not mark the Posca pen? What, doing it on the black? Well, a little bit, can you see? But not, it still works okay. It's all about making sure before you put the Posca pen on that what you've got underneath is dry. All of these kind of pictures that I do in my book, it's all about waiting. It's annoying, but it's all about waiting for layers to dry, frankly. And that's the secret, is that you won't mess up your pens. Whether it's Pitt pens or Posca pens, you won't mess them up if you wait for the layer below to dry. So now I'm going in with matte finish. And look at how much that's going to activate. Now this matte finish is going to seal the whole page as well. And so, oops, sorry, going to be a bit careful around the actual image because I don't want to make a smithering mess of that. So I'm starting off with quite a thick brush, just to get the first bit ignited, if you like. Okay. So now I've got the main bit done, I shall go in much more carefully with a thinner brush, because I don't want to mess up my drawing, and I don't think my drawing is completely dry. So yes, it will move it round more. Now if I get too much dark, if I've put too much on, I could go back in with some gesso afterwards just to tame it down a little bit like this. And again, that will have more impact if the paint itself is dry, which at the moment it's not. So as with the face, I don't want any block colours. I don't want any lines, so it's about gradually blending it out so the transition is smooth. Bit of unactivated hair there. So I don't want to activate all of this hair because these twiddly bits that I've put are I like as strands, so I'm being quite careful to go round them. See that? So again, if I go too far, I can go back in with the gesso. It's quite nice sometimes just to do a black and white picture. Though I do quite like the idea of just a pair of red lips, just to really pop the lips out. Like they used to have movies like that, didn't they? Where like the girl in the red dress was the only thing in colour. It helps your eye move around the picture, just focus on the focal point. So that's all pretty sealed, and I probably would want to go in with more white, but just because I don't want to lose her. This is just neat gesso on top. I can always put some squiggly lines back on top. So she's definitely lighter over this side. Earring to put back in. This is all just playing really and working out what you like and what you don't. Nothing's not fixable, that's the point, I think. Yeah, it's quite good in terms of the rest of it. So let's get my it's a bit wet. That needs a little bit of drying before I can go. Yeah. So I'll dry it off and just do a little more twiddly these bits that you can see me doing here that I can't do on top of the wet. But I might just a little bit of emphasis on the eyes. Just when we thought we got it as dark as we could, in comes a black Posca. But it's looking yummy. Don't want to lose all those lovely eyelashes. And there you have it. We are still live. Yeah, I'm chatting away to myself, don't worry. But I think we're about done. I'm going to lift it up, lift the camera up so you get to see my ugly mug. And it's on a stretchy, so as soon as I let go, it drops. No. There we go. So here's today's. Isn't she fun? I've got to do a few loose strands here and a few loose strands here, but I really like her. And this was just totally done using correct proportions, using lead pencils. I used HB and 4B, a rubber, and I went on to use a stabilo. And I finished it off with some white Posca and some black Posca. And there's a bit of gesso going on in there. We did some painting with gesso, if you remember. So if you like this kind of thing, I've got lots of colour things too. You can find me. I don't think the video of this is up yet. The video of this is coming. But I am on YouTube every Monday from 2 till 3. And I am on my Facebook page, Fairy Chic. Or is it moving around? Sorry. I'm on my Facebook page on a Thursday between 1 and 2. My Facebook page is Fairy Chic Emporium. The link is in the comments beneath. And I'll be really pleased to see you there. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And I'll see you next time. Bye.